Is there anything really worse than ghosting? Like, I think ghosting is straight from the devil. And girl, listen, I consider myself an expert in ghosting because I've been ghosting on multiple levels. So there's the ghosting first date, you never hear from them again. I've had that happen. Then there's the ghosting where maybe a couple dates and you're starting to think, hey, wait, this could be something like something. And then you don't hear from him. Then I've had the ghosting, which I consider the most lethal ghosting because it's so toxic, is it's the ongoing ghosting. So here's what that looks like. You'll have a guy and you'll be kind of talking to him and you think everything's going good. Maybe you Netflixed and chilled a couple times. You've gone out, you really kind of like him. And then you don't hear from him. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Then that joker comes rolling back like nothing ever happened. Like literally, you'll look at your phone and he'll call, hey, like I haven't talked to you in a month. Hey, what? Like you want to say, dude, where you been? What in the world is going on, right? And I call that ongoing ghosting, but that's the one that's really bad because it's so toxic. Because what I found is because I didn't have good identity and didn't have good self-worth, I would fall into that pattern. So I would go ahead and basically reward his inconsistency because he'd come with a, hey, and some what had happened excuse or something lame or whatever. There really is no excuse for it, but just enough so I could somehow rationalize it in my mind to let him kind of come back on the scene, only to have it happen again. Just that inconsistency, emotional roller coaster. You think he's going to like get it together, and then he goes right back and disappears on you, and it's just completely inconsistent. So I get it. And ladies, listen, it is hard. Like it is hard to kind of contend with because you really don't know what to make of it, right? And unfortunately, what happens is because you can't find a reason, and let's be honest, ladies, we can spend a ton of time looking for the reason. I mean, like your thoughts are just spiraling out of control. You be driving, sitting in traffic, trying to fall asleep at night, in the shower, wherever you are, and your mind just starts to wander and you're replaying, what is it? Why did they do this? Why? It's just constantly playing in your head. And because you can't find a reason, here's what we do. You blame yourself because who else can you blame? You don't know what it is. So that little voice of doubt, the enemy whispers in you, it must be something you did, something you said. It's got to be something. And so you end up blaming yourself. But here's the reasons why it's so hard. And this is what makes it so hard to get over. But don't worry, your girl's got you. I'm going to tell you what you can do. So what's really going on is it's a rejection. So getting ghosted is a form of rejection, but it's triggering a previous hurt or betrayal. So what does that look like? It could be somebody, a really meaningful relationship 3 years ago, 5 years ago. It could have been a parent. It could have been a relative. It could be any form of rejection or betrayal that you experienced with somebody that you were in a meaningful relationship with. And so what ghosting does is it triggers that. So like in my case, y'all know my story. My mother abandoned me when I was a young teenager. She basically walked out the front door, 28 years, never heard from her, never saw her. Like she didn't want anything to do with me or my twin brother. I had so much insecurity, so much lack of confidence, and it was such a major, major rejection. So even though I seemed like I was okay, when I got ghosted, it really was triggering that. And it don't even have to be anything traumatic like your mother. It could have been a meaningful relationship with a guy and, he just out of nowhere broke up or anything, any kind of betrayal. Maybe he cheated, any kind of betrayal or hurt that makes you feel like you've been rejected. That's what it's really triggering. Because if we really think about it, a guy you only had one date with, you're just not possibly that invested in him, right? Because it's one date. You may have gone out to dinner. You may have had lunch. Heck, you may have even gone to Starbucks for an hour. So it's not the amount of time that's invested. It's the emotions and the heart thing that's actually coming up and what it's actually triggering in you. So now you feel unseen. And to be honest, let's just call it what it is. That's some emotional warfare. It's emotional cruelty to just like disappear without any kind of explanation. So it's kind of an emotional warfare that people play, and it's cruel. So here's what the problem is. So that's why it's so hard to get over, because it's way deeper than just the guy you had coffee with who now hasn't called you back. Now you feel unseen, you feel unheard, you feel rejected. So here's the problem. Then what we do, because I did it, you build walls to avoid getting hurt, to have it not happen again. It's like, well, I'm gonna have to make sure I keep my guard up and all this kind of stuff. And I'm a firm believer, you guard your heart, but you don't guard it like a watchdog. You just guard it with wisdom, so you don't tolerate foolishness off of a joker. But then you want to swear off of finding love, like it's kind of that all or nothing thing. Like, oh, there's no good guys, I got ghosted, I'm just going to do me, I'm going to do my career, I'm going to do my life, I'm not even going to deal with this. So here's the real problem. The real problem is when this happens, it's impacting how you show up. Now, I don't mean how you show up, because I'm sure most of you all are fabulous. So I'm not talking about how you show up. Is your hair on point? You got your weave, you got your Brazilian butt lift, you got everything snatched. You are put together fabulous. That's not what I'm talking about, how you show up. I'm talking about how you show up with your energy, how you show up emotionally, how you show up that's attractive. And let's be real, ladies. Look, can we just talk? Can we just be real? Because I know you've done it. I've seen it done. I've heard it done. We will kind of get our fabulous together, and we've got, our nails done. Like we're pulling it all together on the things externally that we think are going to make the difference. We got the right skinny jeans. We got whatever we think we need externally. Then we'll see the girl, and I'm not trying to be shady when I say this, I promise. We'll see the girl who we're like, okay, she didn't have the right dating app. She didn't have the right skinny jeans or bootcut jeans. She didn't have anything what seems special about her. How did she get such a nice guy? Tell me I'm lying. We'll do that, right? Because we don't understand it. Because it has nothing to do with the external. Like that woman who don't even put on chapstick, she has attractive energy. She knows how to show up. That's one of the things I teach my clients. You got to learn how to show up. Like, you got to be able to show up like you are serious about love, and in a way that is attractive to a man. It has nothing to do with, yes, men are visual, but it has nothing to do with the ones who actually commit. It has nothing to do with what you're focusing on externally. It's showing up in a way that's attractive, that's bold and confident, but able to be vulnerable and able to have fun and able to have laughter and able to have joy and make him feel good and make him feel safe, that he can share with you and be emotionally available. It's like, it's all of those things. So when you get ghosted, all that gets shut down. Because now you're like, I just can't. So here's what I need you to know. Ghosting is not personal. Now, it feels personal, feels like a sucker punch to the gut, right? But it is not personal. What it really is, he does not have the capacity to be able to say, you know what, I don't think this is going to work out, or whatever he needs to say and own his truth. He doesn't have the capacity for it. So it's really his deficit. It's not you, it's his deficit. And because he didn't know what to do, he just avoids it. But here's what I need you to do. I need you to shift your perspective and hear me good, because you cannot successfully find love unless you got the confidence to know that putting yourself out there to date, I mean, there's a level of risk involved, right? Because you're putting yourself out there, and you have to put yourself out there in a way that is attractive, which requires a level of vulnerability. Balanced vulnerability, wise vulnerability, where you don't just overshare your heart on the first date, but it still requires a certain level of vulnerability. And you've got to make sure that you're not taking this ghosting thing on, because it really is not personal. Think about this. The Bible says that God doesn't withhold any good thing from you. The fact that that joker ghosted you just means he wasn't God's best. Like, that's literally the perspective you have to get yourself into. And then you got to release the shame. So here's your prescription. You got to release the shame of that thing. You got to straighten your crown and hold your head up high. You got to hold on to your dignity. Like, don't go chasing him down. If you after the 20th text, don't send the 21st text. Hold on to your dignity. Let him go. Wish him well. Shake the dust off your feet. Because what this is just proof that better is available. Because again, God doesn't withhold any good thing. And so if you're praying and trusting God for love and everything else, then you just got to say, you know what? He was not the one. I'm not going to personalize it. Yes, it hurts. I'm going to give myself permission to recognize it, but also put it into the perspective of it's really not about him. He's got a lack of capacity, and he's triggering something in you that could even be unresolved, that maybe is something you need to work on, because in order to show up in a way that's attractive, that's going to get you that love you deserve, you got to make sure all that stuff has been worked through. That's literally one of the things that I work on with my ladies, with my clients. That has to, like, you got to have a clean slate even to be able to successfully date. So that is the truth, nothing but the truth. I'm going to go through and answer some of these questions. So you all go ahead and feel free to pop the questions into the chat. And hopefully that helps, because I'm a firm believer, ladies, that God's best is available for you, but you cannot get kind of bogged down in what I call the imposter. Like, it's almost like you pray and you ask God for his best, and then when the imposter gets pruned away, you're like, oh no, what happened? Look, he just wasn't God's best. So again, get your head on straight, let him go, shake that dust off your feet, and recognize it's not even about him. It's what he's triggering in you, and it is not personal against you. Okay? All righty. Well, I'm going to give you all a few more minutes in case you have some more questions. But I promise you, just even tonight, just start practicing. If you've ever been ghosted, just start practicing. Like, wait a minute. Would I want that kind of inconsistency in my life? Because if he's willing to do this, if he doesn't have the emotional maturity to even just respond and say, hey, I had a great time, but, not trying to get in a relationship, or, hey, I don't think this is going to work, or whatever, like whatever his truth is, if he does not have that level of capacity, how in the entire world could you think you could build a life with him and build a meaningful relationship with him? You can't. So basically, girl, listen, he self-selected out of your life and did you a favor in the grand scheme of things. Okay. So how you keep dealing with the rejection? Well, that's why I was saying that you got to have your confidence. Your confidence has got to be on 100, because dating, you got to be so rooted, in this swipe right world where, guys like, ghosting has almost become like a thing where it's not even a shame to ghost somebody. It's like, I with her, it doesn't work out. I just don't even say anything. So you have to have your confidence so firmly rooted. And you got to have your identity, you are not being defined by what he does or doesn't do, that you're not being defined by, his worth. Like, your worth is not being defined by him. You don't even need to step out of your house seriously looking for love if you don't have your confidence game and you don't know your worth, because otherwise you're going to be open to letting the external guys that you come across, whether it's the guy in the supermarket, the guy at Home Depot, wherever you happen to come across, and whether you meet them on a dating app, even in church. Listen, even in church, you have got to have that confidence so high that you're just not being defined by it, so that when it does happen, or if it does happen, you can put it in its proper perspective. Now, having said that, if you've got some stuff where you've been hurt or betrayed or rejected in the past, and that's still an issue and a trigger for you, then that's what I call relationship residue that you have got to work through, because otherwise it's going to have you to continue to sabotage any of your potential relationships. And for those of you, if you do not have your free guide, I wrote a free guide for you all. It's free, of the top of the 10 ways that you might be sabotaging your chance of finding love. But that can be something that would cause you to sabotage. Okay, let me look at another question. A dude ghosted me and I'm in my healing process. Thank you. Hey, Krista. Good. I'm glad you're taking the time that you need to heal, but do me a favor. Put an expiration date on that healing, because depending on how long the relationship lasted before you got ghosted, if it was the first date, that healing process needs to be quick, because he does not deserve too much of your time. Maybe a couple dates. Okay, you give yourself a little healing, a little self-care and everything, but you make sure that you put an expiration date on it. You don't need to still be, after 2 dates, you don't need to still be healing 6 months later, because what that means, if you're not healed, what that's telling you is that you've got relationship residue. That's one of the things I work on with you all, ladies. That's one of the things I work on with my clients. And oh, by the way, I'm working on something really special and exciting for all of you ladies, so stay tuned. But it's so important to get rid of that relationship residue so that you are showing up in a way that's attractive. Okay, 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. I mean, it's unfortunate, and girl, I feel you. I know it hurts. But you put an expiration date on that, because anybody that, let's just call it what it is, anybody that low down, I mean, really, he's already wasted 3 months, because you dated him and then he just ghosted you. So he's already wasted 3 months. So now you have to ask yourself, how much more time do I want somebody who's not my future, who's not God's best? How much more time do I want to actually give him? See what I'm saying? Not a whole lot more. Because again, you're on a mission to find true love. So you don't have time. Wait, in the words of Sweet Georgia Brown, ain't nobody got time to waste with somebody who wasn't your future anyway. So you just make sure you put an expiration date on that, okay? All righty, ladies, this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate each and every one of you all. And I am coming back next week live, so be sure to tune in. And if you have any questions, hit me in my DMs. If there's a question you didn't get to ask, girl, hit me in my DMs. You know I love this kind of stuff. I live and breathe it. So good spending some time with you all, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.